Scrum is a team-based project management style. It's arguably the fastest and leanest or simplest way to manage teams in a company of any size and any number of teams. It's a scaled method for team management. Agile is the idea of splitting really long projects into many really small projects and giving them to the real customer really fast and then changing what the next project will be. So whereas a lot of us think of project management as a sequence of phases towards a ultimate deliverable, Agile is a different mindset where you have a sequence of small deliverables that refine each other, add up to become an even larger impact that has a faster feedback loop. Putting those together, you have many teams working together to deliver a series of tiny, highly effective, focused projects immediately.
Wow. So, and this is something that is fairly broadly being adopted now by businesses in all sectors around the world. Do you have any metrics on how rapidly it's being adopted by which different sectors with what level of success at this point?
When we look in automotive, which is where I play now, we see BMW saying they have a 4 to 5 year plan to get Agile. We see Bosch starting 4 years ago saying we must get Agile, and they have some Agile and they want to increase it. And then you see Agile native companies like Tesla, which create the pressure as they're now far and away the most valuable automotive company in the planet. In fact, if you add up most of the other players, they're still thought to be less valuable than Tesla. So you see in most industries, it's similar to automotive, where you have a company that's full Agile. They're Agile natives, and they're far and away more successful than all the others. Then all the others are at various stages of their transformation. They have some business units working effectively in the method. They have some business units that are still trying to figure out what this is, or they're still saying it doesn't apply to us.
So with those ranges of adoption, and really you're talking about a sprint methodology that's applied with a certain kind of team-based structure, team-based project teams. How are you seeing when that starts to influence a specific case? Maybe you could talk through an example of what that process looks like. Can you give us one or two examples?
Yeah, well, every aspect of managing the company is going to be modified from this mindset if we want it to happen. Team-based means we have cross-functional teams. So the idea of an engineering group separate from a software group, separate from a design group, separate from a test group, that concept of the business structure does change because now we have cross-functional teams where all those people are together on a mixed team. So that changes. The funding model changes because we're no longer making an annual budgeting plan. I mean, there is an annual budgeting trend to do the finances, but it's not locked in on what it's going to build. It's instead, we're going to make 52 releases, one a week this year of hardware and software, and we'll figure out what they are in real time. So we will budget the company to make 52 releases of hardware and software. Very different budgeting. So budgeting changes. Legal support evolves because we don't have a IP protection phase anymore. Every week we have updates of what is potentially protectable, patentable, best for open source, etc. Every aspect of the company has a tweak, a modification, and really it's a mindset. How we approach the company is going to evolve. Traditional management loops, many layers of hierarchy were fast enough. Now, it doesn't keep up with week-long releases. Having the management coalition on the topic meet every other week has no effect on projects that ship in less than a week. So all management decisions need to be prioritized differently in a less than hour feedback loop, which is a highly different way to run a company. So that changes too.
So, you've given an example of how Tesla and 3M collaborated. And just because the magnitude of that is so substantial and the rate of change seems so dramatic in such a short period of time, could you talk us in a summarized way through how that happened? Mindful that many business people are accustomed to multi-year changes, and to our audience, I'll just say this may come across as a bit surprising, but stay with it. And can you give us that example in a little depth?
Yeah. So Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX and Neuralink and the Boring Company and OpenAI, which are all becoming the most effective and most followed and financially successful companies in all of their respective sectors. He calls the 3M CEO. The CEO of 3M at that time was Inga Thulen. And Elon says, you are fantastic at making privacy films for screens. You're fantastic at making solar cells. What I'd like you to do is put privacy filters on your solar cells. So when looked at from an extreme angle from the ground, if it's on a roof, it looks like black or terracotta tile or beautiful reflective glass. But from the sun's perspective, looking almost straight down at the solar panel, it sees straight through the privacy filter and sees the solar film to create the solar voltaic effect to make electricity. And you also make highly UV stable adhesives to hold these two layers together for many, 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 many years of harsh element, wide temperature range use. I'd like you to make a solar roof for us. And Inga Thulen says, Elon, I'm so impressed you know our product stack and our technology strengths so well that you can propose a new product that is right in our wheelhouse that we hadn't even thought of. That's amazing. I'd love to do it. Great. We'll launch, we'll put the product in our queue immediately. It'll go through our new product introduction phase after our new product development phase, and you will have your prototype in right about 7 years. Elon says, great. We'll start installing it on homes in 7 weeks. And he hangs up the phone. Now Inga Thulen has a choice. Inga can queue up the new product development and the new product introduction phases the way they normally do and lose the business, not get any of this business, not get the halo effect of working with the Musk companies. It all goes away. Or Inga can work in a way that is foreign to 3M, outside the new product innovation and new product development process that are defined. And Inga decides to run an Agile project. And like all Agile initiatives, they're far more effective if we ask who wants to join, the energetic people. So he says, who would like to join? And he gets hundreds of responses. And he says, who can put all your other work on someone else? You can shift it to another area of the company, or you can outsource it, or you can stop it. So this is the only thing you do. And he gets a very small number of people that says, yes, we can. Then those people sit in one room together full time, and they all work in pairs. No one works alone. They have one big projector screen, and a lot of the time they're doing laptop work, procurement, chemical mix ideas, drawings, talking to vendors. Only one person is allowed to type at once. Everyone sees it on the screen. They all point and talk. It's real-time conversation. They're a team. They all work on one thing together at once. When they need to make a prototype, they all go to the factory together, and they make it on the line together, or they watch it made together, and they fly back with the prototype. They finish early. It set records all across 3M. This is Agile. It's the team-based management of Scrum, which just makes it really simple and lean to work with many teams at once. And it's the Agile idea of, instead of just phases, you make a small project, although a solar roof isn't that small, on an incredibly short cycle.
So you were able to get to see this significant result in a matter of weeks that in normal methodology would have taken years in some respects. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it was 7 years to 5 weeks. Yeah.
And how large was this team that did the kind of core work for developing this?
It was 4 people. They added a 5th person in the last 2 weeks to help file patents and open source as fast as possible.
And as a result, 3M, did they continue to use this Agile methodology, or was this just a one-off experiment?
As a result, they did the financial calculations, what would happen if more of their projects ran that way. And they flew me in to do team launches where we trained people and then launched these Scrum teams, 50 people at a time in a group. And we did waves for a year and a half, 2 years. It ended up being thousands of people. And the stock price jumped to its all-time high.
And how would you say that acceptance of this new mindset or new culture, was it difficult for that to be embraced at 3M, or did it happen easily? What was that like from your perspective or from what you saw?
Phil, this is the $1 billion question. I really think this is maybe $1 billion is selling it too short. A lot of people want to make an impact in a company, and the real crux of this seems to be how beaten down have they been until they've disengaged, as horrible as that is. And I really think this is the crux of it. And I think the core of this good work is finding ways to lovingly nurture each other so that we re-engage. And then this Agile stuff makes great sense. It plugs in very naturally, very easily. Kids do this. This is how children play before they've been told by their teacher, I don't want to talk to you right now. I don't want to listen to you right now. I want you to sit down and focus on this and only this alone. Once that's become a pattern, this Agile stuff becomes foreign, and we have to relearn this natural collaboration method that is super intuitive to all living things, or at least humans. Here's what happens. Someone says, I have a great idea, and manager is busy. And manager says, not right now, or submit it to the system, or look, you have a 15-minute break. You can do it on your break instead of going to the bathroom and having a coffee if you want. And that person says, oh, I see, my idea is not valued. I'm valued for my hands and not my mind. They have a choice. They can either pump up and fight the system, or they can relax. And then the next time they see an improvement opportunity, they're now conditioned to say, well, ask my boss. They've been told, don't engage me. Well, if that's been happening for 2, 3, 4, 30 years, it's going to be super hard to invite that person onto a Scrum team. They've built up self-defense mechanisms to avoid shame, which are super healthy given the situation they've been in. Now, if you get someone fresh or someone who's been in these Agile companies already, they know that they are a powerful force on the planet, and they create the situation around them. And they'll leave if their managers tell them, I don't want your engagement. And so then it's supernatural. So here's what actually seems to happen. We go into a massive company like 3M and we say, who would like to try this Scrum thing? After giving a 45-minute keynote on what the Scrum thing is. And you get a set of hands. And those are people who are either at midlife crisis, so they're reevaluating themselves, or they're new, or they're about to retire. So in all cases, they say, change is cool. And they opt in. And you have a huge mass of other people who say, no, not right now. Not right now. Not unless the system really changes and I'm told that my whole humanity is valued at work. And so that's the culture side of change. And it's super real. And that's why it's way easier to do this in a startup. Even with the same employees, the same ones who've been not invited to bring their whole selves to work for 20, 30 years. It's regardless of age. But it's a new company, so they know it's new. The ground rules are different. They got to figure out what they are. And you say, let's try Agile. It's super easy. With all new hires, the same people. Tesla famously did this. They took the NUMMI plant, which had extremely low quality under GM, and Toyota had increased the quality, but the rate of innovation was tragically low. Tesla took it, made world-class innovation with even higher quality. The quality had to ramp, but now it's even higher. It's the same people. It's the same people working there. I was meeting with the head of Lean. He's been there 20 years through GM, Toyota, and Tesla. And it is now the highest profit company, the highest stock value company on the planet in automotive, and trending to be maybe the top value company of any type, maybe. And he's been there. It's the same person. It's the same people working there. It's the system that changed, and the culture change point was done effectively.
So change is a key element here. And we may be in a world where it's not only that change is cool, but certainly with COVID and with a lot of the ways processes are changing, changes maybe even the rule. In this environment where people are doing more distance-based work, how does Agile fit into that?
It seems to be more natural, Phil. When you and I work together now doing this, the idea that we can zoom in and task on a window, because that means a lot of what we're doing is screen-based. Zoom in on a window, and I have my team here, and we disengage, re-engage near seamlessly in less than a second. Hey, Joe. Yes, Phil. It seems to fit really nicely. Now, there's this thing called the Agile Manifesto written in 2001. That was before Zoom. That was before Google Meet. That was before Azure DevOps and Microsoft Stack that supports this. That's when we had 9600 baud modems and text. And it was really hard to do it not in the same room. It's pretty easy to do now with modern collaborative tools. Now, I'm involved in manufacturing. Luckily, if we're moving atoms, that means robots. If we're moving electrons, that means people. So people move electrons, that's super easy to do remote. Robots move atoms, that's super easy to monitor, observe, and cheer on remote. And I use those words very intentionally. If we are telling the robot specifically where to move, our company is going to die, and it's dying now. The robot needs to be running a machine learning stack. And what we're doing is curating the data and making sure it has a valid data stack running to it. I mean, we're symbiotes full on in hardware. My right arm is a Dur robot. My left arm is a Funak robot. That's how this works. And humans move electrons, robots move molecules.
Awesome. And so we're coming close to needing to end this part of the interview. I would love to delve into the robotics elements and all the others. For businesses in other sectors beyond automotives, certainly software has adopted Agile to a great degree. What other fields are you seeing ripest for Agile? And what would be the great first step for them to take if they are ready or just wanting to explore?
Medical, and I use that huge blanket term intentionally. It started in pharma and now emergency room care and children room, pediatrics, and now the entire stack. The financial system is racing towards this as fast as they can. That industry has experienced as much upheaval as any in terms of funding model and in terms of what resources are available and effective to use. So that's a whole business stack that is sprinting to this right now as fast as they can. FinTech jumped on board right around the Bitcoin ramp up. So FinTech is now basically Agile native. There's not much FinTech that's not Agile. And that brought most of banking and finance with it. Legal seems late to the party, but legal is asking to defend and arbitrate between Agile businesses. So they're trying to wrap their heads around what this means. So most legal groups, when they propose contracts, they don't even apply. They're getting thrown out all the time. So you have Agile teams writing their own contracts and legal sitting at the sidelines saying, no, wait, what about us? So that seems to be a catch-up point. Media has been on short clocks with cross-functional teams since there was media because they had tight timelines to meet. But the respect for people aspects of agility, there's this whole system that makes it sustainable, has not reached media at all. And there's a real rescue opportunity that I don't know if media is aware of yet. They might be closer to legal in that regard because they're already fast. So they don't feel the pain that legal is starting to feel where they're just being cut out of the loop. There's high turnover and they don't, I think, know that Agile has a solution stack that may be useful. Manufacturing, everyone in manufacturing knows this is the thing and where it's going. Most people feel clueless. And they're saying, I just hope I retire before it disrupts my factory. And they feel it's impossible. It seems too high a mountain to climb. So we'll see where that goes. Either 90% of hardware companies are going to go under, or we're going to have a title change in the next level.
So I'm sorry, or we're going to have a title change. Can you say that again?
Or either about 90% of manufacturing and hardware operations are going to go under, or we're going to have a title change to agility in about the next 18 months.
Wow. Well, you heard it here first. Joe, thank you so much for taking the time. Any final thoughts or final words of encouragement or a suggestion?
This is super fun. The Scrum thing is only 11 rules. You can practice those for 2 days and have it down. The Agile thing is the mindset, but write some poems, try to bring your whole self to work, re-engage with your passionate self, and supernatural. Kids do it all the time. Play at a preschool, and it's basically Montessori preschool at work, and it's incredibly effective. So you'll love it. Start painting, do something for fun. And the thing that I wish happened more often in the world to save those 90% of companies I just talked about. Most companies think their core systems are about the same as they were 20 or 40 years ago. But control systems and control equipment has changed 1,000x in the last 40 years. That's how much built up opportunity there is in your company. So every time you look at, for example, robotics, like the potential is so high